All right. Nancy, if you'd go ahead and swear in the participants of the 11 o'clock hour.
You'll be speaking. For the hearing, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that any testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
All right. So we're here today at the Board of Equalization. Under Idaho Code 63501, the Board of County Commissioners are required to convene as the Board of Equalization. We're here to determine the market value under Idaho Code 63205. I'm going to pause right there. Your names, please.
Jury Hunt.
Nancy, can you please swear in the Hunts?
Please stand and raise your right hand.
Stand, please.
Do you solemnly swear that any testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes.
Okay, now we're going to go. So what we have happening is we have 6 participants in the hearing that's scheduled for 11 o'clock. We'll go through this as quickly as we can. That's the pile that we're dealing with today, so time is of the essence. Under Idaho Code 63501, the Board of County Commissioners are required to convene as the Board of Equalization. We are here to determine market value under Idaho Code 63205, which states that all real, personal, and operating property subject to property taxation must be assessed annually at the market value for the assessment purposes as of 12:01 a.m. on the first day of January in which such property taxes are levied. Furthermore, under Idaho Code 63502, the function of the Board of Equalization shall be confined strictly to assuring that the market value for assessment purposes of property has been found by the assessor, and that the functions provided for in Chapter 6, Title 63 of Idaho Code relating to tax exemptions from taxation. The taxpayer shall have the burden of proof in seeking affirmative relief to establish that the determination of the assessor is erroneous. A preponderance of the evidence shall suffice to sustain that the burden of proof is met. We are here to discuss the market value of the property, the condition, and the state are information that is relevant to the topic. This is fact and not opinion. We are not here to discuss taxes, past grievances, policy, personal income, or other issues. If you do not stick to the discussion as requested, your time will be reclaimed. For everybody's information, this hearing is being broadcast, so if you don't want the general public and everybody in Bannock County to know what you're talking or your personal information, I wouldn't talk about it here. The hearing structure: the property owner will have 3 minutes. Then there will be questions allowed from the assessor's table that will come through the board. The assessor will then have 3 minutes, and the appellant may ask questions coming through the board. We will then have a rebuttal and closing section where the board will decide of a course of action. The rules: please be kind. 2, direct all questions and comments to the board. This is not a discussion between you two, it is a discussion with us. If your conduct is out of line, you will be warned. And if your conduct continues to be out of line, you'll be asked to leave. So far in 6 years of doing this, I've only had one that's been asked to leave, so let's please keep it that way today. With that, sir, if you would please go ahead, state your name, and your 3 minutes will begin now.
My name is David Stanislawski, and I am here to appeal for the first time, so I don't really know much how it goes, but I just don't feel like my property went up $110,000 in value. My basement isn't completely finished anymore, and
Excuse me, point of clarification. Anymore.
yeah,
Changing the property.
yeah.
What happened?
The carpet just was nasty.
So you just tore it out?
And
that's it?
I haven't done anything else.
Okay. All right. Thank you. If you please continue.
And the bathrooms are all how they were when I moved in. I'm pretty sure they're original bathrooms, and nothing's really changed with the property. I mean, I haven't done any improvements really to my house to make it go up a lot of money, and that's about it.
Okay. Anything further? Okay. I'll hold questions from the assessor's table. Okay. 3 minutes.
Thank you, Commissioner. The property sits at 424 Roanoke. It sits on 0.19 of an acre. It's a one-story home, 2004 build, has 1,532 square feet on the main, 1,492 in the basement. We are showing 1,352 square feet of that finished. It's coming in at $477,966 with A price per square foot after you remove all exterior amenities at $135 approximately per square foot. We have comparable number 1, sits at $44.89 O'Leary, about the same size of lot, 0.20, 1 story, built in 2003. Has a little bit more square feet on the main at 1706, a little bit more in the basement at 1666, with 833 square feet finished. It sold in June of 2021 for $391,000, with a time adjust would be adjusted up to $425,213. It's coming in at $138 per square foot. Comparable number 2 sits at 942 Margaret. Lot is just slightly smaller at 0.15. It's a 1-story home built in 2003. Has slightly less square feet at 1,301 square feet on the main, 1,282 in the basement, with 1,154 of that finished. Sold also in June of 2021 for $377,500. With a time adjust, it would be $410,531. Comes in at $142 price per square foot. Comparable number 3 is at 636 Alpine. Sits on 0.22 acres, 1 story, built in 2002. Pretty similar square feet at 1,416 on the main, 1,398 in the basement, with 700 of that finished. It sold in October of 2020 for $320,000, with a time adjust would bring it up to $380,000, with a price per square foot of around $145 per square foot. If you look at his price per square foot, the bracket's him right in with that. It's a pretty tight bracket on these set of cells, and they're all similar to your build. So I just asked that you uphold the value of $477,966.
Okay. Questions back to the assessor's table. Do you have any?
I'm not really seeing much.
One thing I have heartburn is your land value is set at $82,500. All of your comparables, your land is $69,000 and $60,000 respectively. So that's the one thing that I have heartburn. And if you've had to tear out all your carpet, there's a cost to cure that you could put in there, but that's about it. So for me personally, just as I look at this, you have 2 comparables that have lot sizes that are basically the same size as yours at $69,000. I have heartburn with having a lot out in Chubbuck out there. I'm not saying that your lot's not worth money, but $82,500 is a lot right now that's being sold on the Highland Hill next to the temple. So I have a problem with that. That's just my personal, as we look at that, and we've sat through all these hearings. So for me personally, what I would do is I would change my land value to $69,000, and I would add a $5,000 cost to cure to recarpet your basement, because that's 1,352 square feet. Cost to carpet $50 a yard with pad and lay would be about $5,000. So that's where I'm at. And that brings what I was thinking, that's a value if you change that land value and that $5,000 cost to cure, if that's $454, $346.
I can live with that. Go ahead.
I will make a motion on property RPR CV. Actually, I'm going to ask you one question right quick. You're under oath. You have no carpet in your basement.
No.
All right, thank you. Just remembering that. All right. I don't have any pictures, but I'm taking your word for it.
Crack, but I'm.
No, that's okay. We'll get it. So that's what they're doing in a cost to cure means. It's an allowance for this year's taxes, anticipating that you'll have it corrected. Okay. All right. On parcel RPRCV I3001500, I would move that the land value be adjusted to $69,000, a $5,000 cost to cure be reduced for a total value of $454,346. There's a motion on the floor. Is there further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Sir, we've made an adjustment. It's not an adjustment that you wanted all the way down.
all right.
It does give both you and the assessor the ability to appeal. You'll receive in writing in the next 2 to 3 weeks our decision here. If you so choose to appeal to the Board of State Tax Appeals or to the District Court, you may do so. You will need to file those documents in the office of the clerk, which is located directly behind that wall. If you don't have anything further, I would consider this hearing closed.
I can live with that.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. But
All right. Next up, my computer is like,
Pat? No Pat?
no Pat. Pat, okay, Pat. Sorry, my computer, I don't know why, all of a sudden, like, it's not,
It is the day for computers.
it's just, I'm sitting there trying to scroll through the packet, and it's just buffering and buffering. All right. You heard my spiel earlier. Is there any questions I can answer before we get going?
Can I ask a question before my 3 minutes start?
I will allow it if we stick to the topic at hand.
Sure.
Okay.
I turned in a packet of info. Have you guys, I know you're real busy and trying to see
That's-
lots of people. Have you been able to?
That's what our
read it?
computer is loading, and this is what
So
our
like
homework was.
you read it as we
Yep.
go?
Well,
So-
no, a lot of these, we all take our homework home, and I didn't have a 4th of July holiday, and I think the other two commissioners probably are in the same.
I doubt that you remember with all that you're dealing with. But
Actually-
I just needed to get an idea of how much to refer to it.
Nope, and like I said, you can make it, we have had your packet for review. That's why we require it to be turned in, so we can actually review this, and it's fair to us, and it's fair to everybody here that evidence was presented in a timely manner.
Great.
If you want to go ahead and announce yourself, we'll go ahead and start your time and get going.
Sure. I'm Pat Fureborn. I'm here about a small rental I have just down the street from where I live. It's a very old, small house. I think it was one of the, if not the first in the whole neighborhood. So before 1920 it was built. It's only 359 square feet. It, in the past, the assessors have thought there was a basement under it. It's a cellar with steep cement steps that are very narrow. Think of the storm cellar door, you know, just at a little angle from the ground. So it's not, the assessor that came out did not want to go down and look to see at it. And it's doesn't cover the whole 359 square feet either. Has a water heater and that. I've looked at, on Realtor.com, it said that the current median price for homes in the Alameda neighborhood of Pocatello is $150 per square foot. That put this home at $53,850 price.
Point of clarification, ma'am, just on
I'm
that.
sorry.
Point of clarification, was that just for improvements, or was that improvements, so that was improvements plus land, or total?
Total.
Okay, thank you, if you'd
You
go
don't
ahead.
buy a house without the land under it.
A lot of them are
Unless it's a motorhome.
represented as not representing land costs.
Okay,
That's
I
why
believe on
asked.
Realtor.com it's the package.
If you would go ahead and continue, ma'am.
Okay. So, and then, so I searched to try to find something comparable for sale that was that small. I couldn't find anything that small. I did find 4 houses that I've turned in copies of from the internet and the newspaper that were in the $55,000 to $69,000 range. But they had 2 to 3 bedrooms with a total square footage of 924 to 1,876 square feet. So I just do not think I could sell this house for $75,000. Or, and I'm not intending to sell it. There's an elderly renter there that's on very fixed income, and he's ill. I just, you know, it's a fact that we need low-income rentals in our town, and I try to keep it best shape I can. I replace what I can as needed when it breaks. I, you know, try to keep it a livable space. We recently replaced the toilet that broke, but we replaced it with one that we'd taken out of our house. I tried to replace the sink in the bathroom. A large person could not stay there. To use the toilet, you have to go sideways past this very small sink to get to the toilet. I tried to replace the sink years ago and could not find one small enough for that space at the time. So it still has the original crack. It doesn't seem to be leaking. But
Question for you, ma'am.
Sure.
Is there a garage or outbuilding or?
There's an outbuilding that my husband built from a kit that, where he keeps his rowboat, because we live just down the street.
All right.
So, it's an open,
First rowboat shed I've had. So.
well, we have very small lots in that
Okay.
area. I mean, this one is 1/1500 of an acre. Ours is 1/1300.
How big is that outbuilding?
The outbuilding?
How big is the shed?
Larger than the house. I don't know, I really don't. But it's open, you know, he's put up like a fence over where the
Okay.
doors would be. to keep neighborhood kids out. We have access from the alley to not bother the renter when he has a trash trailer in front of it.
Okay. All right. Questions from the assessor's table?
No questions. I have a comment.
Okay, go for it.
The detached shed thing is 17 by 20.
Okay.
We have about 5,330 of value put to it.
Okay. If you want to go ahead and proceed.
Okay. I was the appraiser that went out in 2020 and re-inspected this. I can concur. It is tiny. It is well maintained. The basement area, cellar thing, is you can stand up in it. I did go down it. The stairs are steep, but it's for, like she said, the
Probably the
furnace.
coal
and-
furnace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a lot of them are over
Okay.
there. So, in looking for, it looks like a re-inspection was done for 2021. Maybe it was last year that we went out. I can't remember.
I thought it was
Years kind of
2020.
blend together.
Yeah, it's
over
all a
the
big
last few
blur.
years. So it does sit at 415 Randolph Avenue, one story, 1925 build. We show 392 up, 196 for the basement area, cellar area.
But it's not counted as finished, though. There's no value assigned to it at all. Okay.
No finish to it, just for that square footage of
Okay.
concrete area. It's coming in at roughly about $77 per square foot. Comparable number one is at 947 West Clark on a slightly smaller lot, one story, built in 1920, has 616 square feet all in the main, 0 basement, 0 finish, obviously if there's no basement. Sold for $74,000 back in November of 2020, with time adjust would be $86,950. Brings it in at about $98 per square foot. Comparable number two, 752 Harrison, tiny lot, 0.07. Again, one story, built in 1925, just like the subject, 576 total square feet, no basement. Sold for $100,000, time adjust would be 107,500 for a price per square foot of $120, roughly $121. And comparable number three, 1341 Harrison Avenue North. I guess it's like a little house behind that, so it would be 1341 and a half. On a 0.06 acre lot area, one story, built in 1926, similar square feet, 582, all in the main, no basement, sold for 125. Time adjust would be 39,000, sorry. Comes in at 164 price per square feet. So it looks like she is on the lower end of the spectrum for those, and rightly so, where we've made adjustments for condition and size and amenities in the past couple of years that have been, we have it as fair condition, fair class, grade. We've made adjustments more than once to the property.
Ma'am, do you have any questions back to the assessor's table?
Well, the first comparison was like 5 times the size at 18,000 square feet.
I'm showing that the first comparable was 616 square feet, so it was about
then I
200.
misheard. I was trying, I didn't
Sorry,
write down,
might
so
have-
I was just trying
Talk really fast.
to listen for
Sometimes.
I have to
We
read
only
lips
have
because
3
I'm
minutes.
pretty much deaf,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Okay,
I had to read along to make sure it was correct.
Sure,
Um,
yeah. But then, I mean, if you
So
compare
I
other
remember reading
houses,
your packet, because your square footage price at $76.98 is like, I think it is the cheapest one now that we've seen. It's the lowest that has come before us. I actually was hoping that when I asked you about the garage and that, you would tell me it was like true shed, trust-built $1,000 shed, because then it would probably be an overvalue. But if it's a 17 by 20 garage, if you take that into account of the property itself, it's just not the rental house. Even though you don't use the rental, or the rental doesn't use the garage would actually be considered part of the structure and would have an off-street parking. I know it might not seem like it, but there are people that are willing to buy those houses right now, and that's
I look at Realtor.com right now, since you brought it up. Realtor.com has the property listed at or valued at $148,000.
No,
I don't think it's that high, but
it's not that property.
but you,
Zillow,
'Cause that-
Zillow says 124.
I think
So I've
you
got
could-
That-
two online sites. That say
I think you
100.
probably have a house that's worth more than what you think it's worth right now.
Well, but I guess the other point is that I'm not selling.
Well, but-
And when I do sell, charge me. You know, I also submitted tax it when I sell, but meanwhile, people have to have a place to live. And the evaluation in Pocatello is 6th highest in the nation.
So unfortunately, ma'am, we're a Dillon's rule state, where we're only allowed to do what the state legislature has authorized us to do. So we are required under law to assess at market value. And the problem is, it's not when you're willing to sell, it's what two reasonable people would realistically exchange real monetary U.S. currency for. As much as I feel for you, and your opinion and the opinion of the story, and I already have read that for the Journal, people are selling and buying these houses. And this last year, we've had bidding wars where people are multiple offers. I totally agree with what you're saying, but unfortunately, as much as I like everybody in Bannock County, I'm not willing to go to jail for you. And our job is to assess at current market rate. We're not allowed to take into consideration tax value and all that. We're looking at the property condition, and what two willing participants would be willing to exchange real U.S. currency for. And that's the tough part about this job right here. As a rental that's there, I know you don't think it's probably worth that, but the 2,000 hearings I've done in the last several years, yes, your assessment's probably 25,000 undervalue as it is right now. And so that's what I'm saying. This is a hard thing for people to understand, but you have an asset that is appreciated at a rate of higher than any other investment you would ever make. And so that's why I say I went through this one, because I remember this one was at the $76.98 a foot, because I was like, there has to be something in this one and if it's at the condition that sits and what I'm seeing, if I can find it, I'm going to help you out, but I can't find anything right now. That's the problem. I was hoping that the roof had blown off, the windows were broken.
Well, earlier this morning, we did a house the same size and did it at 220,000. So,
And that's the,
How can people who live and work in Pocatello, those people that are paying that are coming from out of state, and they're they're selling at their prices and then buying at ours. But we who have lived here for 40 and 50 years, trying to have a living and trying to create a life for our families, are going to be on the street at this rate.
but you just gave the exact definition of what the fair market value is. Somebody was
But-
willing to take the money from the person from California and wanted to sell that house, and that is what has occurred here. The market value in a capitalist society is what people are willing to exchange for a piece of property. And as much as that might have issues, we're not allowed to deviate from what state law has given us. And unfortunately, like I said, ma'am, I saw this one, and I went through this about 4 times trying to figure out if there was something there that was askew. The only thing I had was the garage size. That's the only, and I was hoping you'd tell me it was a tough barn, but
I don't lie.
well, and I was just hoping that was what the fact would be. But I don't see where that is. And
You've got to be charging these people that are coming in and buying that at that price. You've got to be charging them a hell of a lot to pay for indigent prices for the rest of us when we end up on
well,
the
that's what their
street.
property taxes are paid for. And that's
No,
why they're
that's our property
well,
taxes that will put us on the
But again,
street.
that is a discussion of policy that is held to the legislature, as we're a Dillon's rule state, and we are not allowed to do things outside of our purview.
Mr. Chair, on parcel RPRPFRV 014100, I'll make a motion that we uphold the assessed value.
There is a motion on the floor. Is there further discussion or any other motions? All in favor?
Aye.
Ma'am, I'm afraid it's where it is.
We-
It was a
we
great
tried.
argument, and I really was trying to get there with you, but
I'm very
we couldn't get
sincere.
there. Hey, ma'am, I appreciate it. I really do.
And I appreciate your work. I believe in taxes. I believe we all have to support our community and each other. But it has to be where we can live here to do it.
Yep. And like I said, that is an issue of policy that is held to the legislature to fix this next session.
Well, I'm sorry I wasn't part of the rifles or the teams.
All right, next one.
Mary?
Okay, let's see how long.
Swinger.
Nope, you're already sworn in. You're already good. So, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself And your 3 minutes will go ahead and begin.
Good morning. I'm Mary Neese, and I feel that my property taxes have gone up higher than what they should have, and the reason is that we've made no updates or improvements to the inside or the outside of our property since we've lived there. And across the street from us, there's a developer planning to do something, JG Ventures, part of that group, and he's going to do something, and it's not going to be residential. It's going to be commercial. So I feel that's going to have an impact on our property. And the large lot right next to us is vacant, and there's very tall weeds up to my hips when I go walk in there. That's not maintained, and it has a large chain link fence in front of the lot, which detracts from the look of our property. So I feel those issues decrease the value of our house, and the mortgage rates are going up now, so I feel our assessment is more than what it should be. Thank you.
Okay. Questions from the assessor's table? Okay, assessor, 3 minutes, please.
We just have this home, it has 934 square feet on the main. It looks like 550 in the basement. There's 670 on the upper level. It has a detached garage and attached garage. We have it valued at $347,498, which for 11 square feet, it looks like it would be valued appropriately for the area. And just ask that you'd uphold that value.
Okay. Questions back to the assessor's table?
No, I'm not doubting what the assessor is saying. I mean, that's her opinions. However, our house has this big vacant lot right next to it with the weeds up to my hip with the chain link fence. So when I asked 2 real estate agents, would people be willing to pay that, they both said no. Why would they buy your house when they can buy another house where the appearance right next to them doesn't have a big vacant lot with tall weeds and a chain link fence in front of it?
Okay. The only thing I have is the $93,000 land value.
That's what I was just looking at.
Sorry, that's just, as much as I love the Bitterroot Hill, you know, I looked at just the assessment on packets. You had a 2019 value that was set at $71,000, then it was dropped at BOE to $64,000, and then last year there was an adjustment made which brought it down to $60,000 probably when it was drawn. The 64.71 somewhere in there ballpark is a reasonable. 93, I
was thinking around 75. That would give us an increase over last year, not throw us totally out of whack with where we're at. So if we did that, that would give us a total price of Okay, Mr. Chair, on parcel RPSW 2002801, make a motion that we adjust the price to $329,498
There is a motion on the floor. Is there further discussion or any other motions? All in favor? Oh,
with the adjustment coming off the land.
friendly amendment accepted. Any other motions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, ma'am, what's happened is your property's been adjusted off of the land value itself. We've made an adjustment in your favor. It's not exactly what you wanted, but it is an adjustment. By us doing so, it means that either you or the assessor can appeal our decision to the Board of State Tax Appeals or to the district court. In the next 2 to 3 weeks, you will receive in writing from our office what has happened here today. At that time, if you want to go forward with that, you may go to the clerk's office, which is directly behind that wall, and pick up those forms with the instructions on what you would need to do. Other than that, I would consider this hearing closed today. Yes, ma'am.
So can you tell me what the value would be now?
It dropped it by some change.
Basically $20,000 roughly, so where the total value was, what was it, Nancy? 329,498.
Was 347.
That's what it was, and we dropped it down to 329.
Thank you. Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for
That's
your
another
time.
neighborhood with some land that probably should look at, because the land values up there are all over.
Yes. All right, so we've had Smolkowski, we've had Pat. Jerry Hunt. Sorry for those people that have a last name that ends at the end. The list got put together by alphabetical. I feel your pain. I'm always at the end of the list, so sorry. All right, ma'am, are you speaking? Okay. All right.
I tried to talk her into coming up here.
Hey, sir, if you go ahead and introduce yourself for 3 minutes to
My
begin.
name's Jerry Hunt, and we moved up here from Utah in 2020, and I've seen a big jump in our house price, and from 440 to 745. And I guess I see that. I understand what's going on in the marketplace, both here in Idaho and Utah. And but I guess the thing that I disagree is, and maybe this is a question, is the value of the home, is that today's value, or is that back
As of January 1
January 1?
of this year. So you are given between December 31st and January 1, there's a 1-year time snap.
Okay,
Shot. And so people will start looking, well, my neighbor's house sold for this yesterday.
right.
We are required, because we're assessing you for taxes in that tax year, that's where the snapshot comes from now. So
Okay.
you run 6 months behind when you're Board of Equalization.
Okay, and that probably is kind of what I'm seeing here in the Movoto, is that there was a peak, and that was high, and now we've dropped down.
So in this next year, so what's going on right now, as of January 1, 2023, when they build next year's tax assessments, everything that's going on in the market right now, which is that's starting to occur, that's,
will be reflected.
that
So
will
this
be
price will
reflected.
go down.
And if it's not reflected, you need to come back to this.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And maybe that was my confusion, because I thought this was today. And, you know, overall, I've seen a 34% for this last year was the increase. And overall, since I've been here, 69%. That looks really good, but everything that was being reported, like Nido State, Movoto, you know, I'm seeing 20% in 19, 16% in 2020, and 21, 25%.
Yeah, we're seeing about 2% a month in
Is that what
2021.
it
Yeah,
is?
so about
Okay.
24, 25%.
But I didn't see numbers that matched up with the 34%. That was my
A
heartburn.
lot of it will be where you were assessed the prior year. Everybody thinks that it's just an automatic flat rate, but you could have some properties that we see that through Board of Equalization or just through other things, the property was on you have a median, and if you're extremely low, you might have more than a 24% because you might have had a property that was for some odd reason assessed 10 or 15% underneath market value to begin with. And that's why it's so important to have every single year to have you at market value, because then you don't have these huge spikes.
Right.
Hopefully it just either stays like this or like this.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I was just, I looked at this and I go, could I really get the value out of the house that's jumped 34%? And that was where I was having heartburn about this thing. I did look around, my neighbor is just bought just behind me, and he was significantly lower than even I thought the property went for. Same size lot, everything was the same.
Were you looking on the parcel viewer, or were you looking at his actual written assessment?
I was looking at what he actually paid.
Okay.
So, and he's right next door to me, and the same size. So anyway, that's what, If we're talking about January 1st, I truly understand that one, but if we're talking today's market, then I think next year at this time, we're gonna see a big drop.
Should be a different
That's
number.
what I'm thinking. But anyway.
Questions from the assessor's table?
No question.
Would you go ahead and take your 3 minutes?
I do show that there has been a pole building added to this in the last few years, so that would also add to the increase in value slightly. To the
Point of clarification, and sir, you added a out structure?
Yeah, a barn.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're showing the property sits at 15195 West Venus Street in Pocatello. It is a rural subdivision. Looks like the land, we have it at 96,035, which for the size of lot seems adequate. Over an acre, over 2 acres, looks like. And we have the main floor at 2,438 square feet, the basement 2,431. Like I said, an attached garage, a detached pole building, small shed. We do have it assessed at $745,662. I would just ask that that be upheld.
Okay. Sir, do you have any questions back to the assessor's table?
So, basically, the only thing that's changed on the property is the barn.
Okay.
Home for my horses, so, anyway.
Questions at the table?
Just give me a minute.
Okay.
Do you have anything?
No, I was just, as I looked in that value, so you purchased this house brand new then? Did you have it built?
No. It was built in 2003.
Oh, okay. All
Five,
right.
something
Yeah,
like
for
that.
some reason I was looking,
It was an existing,
Okay.
the previous owner built it.
All right.
And we bought it.
We show it as an 04.
Oh.
04.
okay.
It might have been started in 03 and then finished
Yeah,
in
might
04
have
or
been.
whatever.
It was someplace
Okay.
in that area.
For some odd reason I was looking at it and I pulled the map of the neighbors and it's looking like the county parcel viewer hasn't been updated with this year's values, so it still reflects last year's values, but it shows all your land values of all of you guys in that neighborhood. Last year's values, you're actually $10,000 less in your land value than everybody else. And so I'm assuming that the 93 is probably in line with the neighbors then, because they're all probably somewhere in there.
He had a BOE correction with the area
Oh.
back in 19.
Yeah, so
It looked like,
that's what it
so
did. So that's why the adjustment came.
It stayed, and then actually in last year it dropped for some reason down.
Probably because it,
Maybe when it got sketched or something.
okay.
Converted it into the land schedule or something.
All right.
Now it's still on that land schedule.
So, sir, just from my perspective, as I look at this, the first thing I always looked at is your land value costs. The one gentleman that was in here, his value for his little lot was you're at 2 acres and you're at 92, 90, 96. I would look at that. That's kind of in line with what we've been seeing with those acreage parcels. You have a well and septic.
Yes.
So that would.
It's a community well, but the septic is.
But the septic's, yeah. So that would include those improvements that are on the ground. Your pole barn that was added, improvement would be put in place, and then your house value itself. I always look forward, and there's no conditional values of your house that have changed. Your roof hasn't blown off, your windows aren't broken. What else have we had? Floods, the basement's been torn out. Is there anything like that at all?
No.
All right, so those are my magic ones that whenever you guys come in and ask about, that's normally what we go for. What you're seeing in the value is exactly what you've just described. Last year was this crazy value. You couldn't buy a piece of sheathing for less than $50.
Yeah.
Now it's down to 30 something. So I'm assuming you're probably going to see some valuation changes. But right now in the year that we're looking at, you said it best. You moved up here from Utah, and all you people coming this way, and it's driving it through the.
I'm just returning home.
But you're okay. We'll take you back. We like you. Come on back here. But that's really the problem that we run into when we see these come through, especially where when I read through this last night, the value that changed is such. It was a drastic change in total value, but when you look at total size property and everything else that goes in, it does seem to be in line with what's there, especially where the property had a BOE correction a couple years ago. There was some other stuff, and so I don't see it crazy out. What I am saying though is, especially the bigger houses next year, if you're not seeing some flattening of value
Right.
or reduction in value, you need to come see us.
Okay, because, you know, that is in line with this, it shows a peak, a high point, and now we're on the downside.
Most of the sold houses that we were seeing would have multiple offers in a bidding war.
Yeah,
And that's the hardest thing that we're trying to communicate to people, is there really have been people that are coming in and just,
oh, I totally understand that, but I thought, I didn't know where that
Okay.
assessment was made.
and the other thing too is if you have questions, please get back with these guys.
Okay.
Have them come out on your property, have them look at it. Everybody thinks
Okay.
just because the assessor's gonna show up, oh, they're just gonna jack my value up. A lot of times, they're the ones that will actually spot deficiencies, things that might not be correct, and they would either have a cost to cure value come back to us or other things that way.
And I just looking at your cost per square foot, and if my math is correct, I've got you at about $135, $140 a square foot. So compared to what we're seeing, that's on the low end of that as well.
Okay.
And even with the trend that you show here, square footage that you're showing on your stuff's at $167 a square foot. So you're below that as well, so.
Yeah.
But like I said, you shouldn't see another 24% increase next year. Knock on wood.
No, that's
I mean,
good.
with what's going on right now and what you've just, this is exactly what we're starting to see. Interest rates are bumping.
Right.
You're gonna have some change with there. But for right now, unfortunately, it's that time window that's 6 months
No,
prior.
I understand. I really thought that we were talking into 2022.
Yeah.
And that one's high for me.
And I think if you were into 2022, you'd have a very valid case of some things that would be done.
Yep. Mr. Chair, on parcel RP RREQE 001700, I make a motion that we uphold the assessed value.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there further discussion or any other motions? All in favor?
Aye.
Sir, we upheld the value. If you do not agree with this, you'll receive in writing in 2 to 3 weeks a decision. You may go forth to this Board of State Tax Appeals or to the district court if you so choose at your own expense. Forms are in the clerk's office directly behind that wall. I do appreciate you coming in and having a conversation with us.
No,
And
thank you very much.
welcome back home.
No, thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Oh, Crystal Lish? You should have named your company starting with a W. He's the last guy up. All right. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, your 3 minutes begin as you get started.
My name is Crystal Lish, and I'm appealing the value of my home on 756 Hallmark Drive. I think my value is closer to $435,000 versus $521,000. As we all know, Idaho is a non-disclosure state, so finding sold information is not available to laymen. I do not have access to the MLS. I also am well aware that appraised values, whether it's from a appraisal in the market or whether it's from our county, it is an opinion of value, and values as such can fluctuate anywhere between 10 and 20% as it is an opinion. I have had no improvements on my home since we moved into it 5.5 years ago. If anything, there's been wear and tear from 2 wonderful teenagers, holes in the wall, carpets are worn, looks like little mouse tracks throughout the carpet, chip paint on the cupboards, those types of things. Having access to limited information, I was able to pull from different websites within a mile radius, which is common practice for appraising. And I pulled homes that are currently listed for sale. Obviously, I don't know what they sold at, as it is a non-disclosure state. I located 1592 Spalding, which is currently listed for $449,900. 776 Mountain Park, listed for $435,000. 1175 Levine Drive.
Point of clarification, ma'am. Those are current listings as of today.
As I wrote. So what
So,
was
a
this,
couple
like,
days ago, but-
2 weeks ago.
but-
I don't know what that was, 2 weeks ago. So
Okay.
I don't know if they have sold, those were pending. And obviously, you can argue that there are bidding wars. However, the volume of properties have increased from about 50 current single-family homes to about 220, 230 the last month or two. So just reviewing that. As in continuing on, 1175 Levine Drive, $319,900. 714 Brundage Drive, $435,000. I did go to a similar neighborhood. I went over to the Chubbuck area, I feel like similar structures, similar homes, and found a couple additional comparables. 900 Homestead for $459,900 and 903 Sheba for $424,900. I also went on to the parcel viewer and researched just kind of homes that were in my direct neighborhood, my direct neighbors that were on the same street as me. And unfortunately, They are not published yet for the 2022 values, so I had to use the previous year's values. My home started off significantly overvalued off of those. They're anywhere from $338,000 to $353,000. My home was already starting out at $410,941 from the previous year.
Okay. Questions from the assessor's table? Okay. Assessor, if you'd go ahead and,
All right, thank you. We have the subject property at 756 Walmart Drive, on approximately 0.22 acres, 1 story with a basement, built in 2016. We are showing 1,702 square feet on the main, 1,704 in the basement, with 1,504 of that finished. We have a currently assessed at $521,395 with a cost per square foot of $138. Comparable number 1 is at 780 Hallmark on similar size lot, 1 story with a basement, built the same year, 2016. Almost identical square feet at 1,701 on the main, 1,670 in the basement, with a full finished basement coming in at $147 per square foot. It sold in July of 2021 for $535,000. If we time adjust, it would be $575,000. Comparable number 2 is at 832 Hallmark, same size lot, same home, 1 story with a basement. It was built a few years after it. The year built was 2019. Has 1,723 square feet on the main, 1,705 in the basement, with only 682 of that one finished. Sold in October of last year, 2021, for $510,000. Time adjusted would be $529,000, which brings it in at $187 per square foot. And then we have 681 Hallmark, same size lot, 1 story with a basement, built in same year, 2016. Has a little bit less square feet at 1,498 on the main, 1,504 in the basement, 526 of that finished. Sold in August of 2020 for $378. If you time adjust, it would come in at $458,000 roughly, at $187 per square foot. So it looks like she would be on the lower end of that spectrum of those homes built in similar years. The land values are all identical because they're all in the same neighborhood on the same site rating. So we just ask that you to uphold the value of $521,395. Thank you.
okay, do you have questions for the assessor's table?
So every single lot in my neighborhood is evaluated at $75,000 for the year 2022.
It's supposed to be.
Okay.
All these
That's
comparable
what-
sales are all on Hallmark and they're all identical.
So all of that, the entire subdivision will be set at 75,000? Should be.
It's my knowledge of.
Okay, to the best of your...
Yes, to the
Okay,
best of my
thank you.
knowledge. Yes.
Does that satisfy for your question?
Yeah, that answers my question.
Okay, so all land values
The
will...
parcel viewer doesn't look like it's been updated.
Yeah,
yet.
it's, I looked and it wasn't there yet. All right.
One of the issues that you're suffering with, which again, good for you, in the 2 previous years, you've been to BOE twice and had the values reduced. And that's part of what we've seen that several times in here. People who have been the last couple of years, they get the big increase this year because they had their values reduced the 2 previous years. And so that makes it feel a lot worse. I mean, it doesn't feel good, but that makes it feel twice as bad.
So I had a question when they were reading over size of values. You appeared to have a question of the size of the property and the finish to the basement.
No, I just was writing notes.
Okay, I just was curious to see if that was correct.
I am not taking a tape measure to my home, so I don't know that
Take
that
it to
is
the
accurate.
outside, not the
I don't know
inside,
that
please.
that's accurate.
Because everybody takes it to the inside and then wants to argue over 40 square feet because they have walls.
Yeah.
Again, this is one of those that we've been reading, and you just heard with the last gentleman, you're seeing this is starting to occur, but during this time frame, we still had it. I thought I had an aha epiphany moment and asked these guys, I'm a pain in their butt, and they don't like it when I sit in here, but I normally go in and pick apart. I started looking at comparable too. I was like, aha, I got one because of the, but then as I look at the close date in October at 5/10, it's virtually the same house except the roof line is different. They just changed and they didn't do a hip. They changed some stuff there, which is just an aesthetic is the same size, 1723, opposed to your 1702, so maybe they had a bump out somewhere that they added. I was actually looking if that would be, but in a time adjust of 2 months, it actually is more than what your assessed value was. Got a roof that's blown off, got windows that are broken, more so than 2 kids being rambunctious and knocking holes in the wall. Foundation failing.
Hope not.
I'm going here. Come on, man. Give me something.
I think what's really difficult for us is, I think for anybody, is that you're assessing a value in January, as you stated. However, we don't have access. Like, I don't know, now I know, I guess, so now I'll preemptively set a calendar invite for myself in January to go pull comparables, but that makes it extremely difficult, and I think that is a little bit of an unfair advantage. So I think it's hard for you guys to compare a value from January when we are not in January, when we get the assessments out and are asked to dispute. I don't think that that is very
The state
fair.
legislature wrote it that way to put you at a disadvantage. And this is the part that we argue with. We are a non-disclosure state, as you stated, and the Realtors lobby is extremely powerful and has made sure that their protected industry and data has been protected. With that being said, it's a very difficult thing to do that. You do have a case that you've been brought, and there's things here, but unfortunately, you're in your house is in that prime. This is where everybody was buying every single one of these type of houses, and that's the hardest part is, and it's not just January 1. Yes, what it was in January 1, but all those comparables go back 1 year, and they're time adjusted because we're seeing you have enough sales in the market to do that. That's the real problem that we run into here, and so it is a very difficult thing that way. Like I said, if I can find something, I will usually, my first thing is to go to your land value and pick it apart. Your land value is sitting at 75 grand right now. That's
Reasonable.
That's a reasonable lot size. So we've seen some of them in Chubbuck that were at like 95,000 bucks. If it was that high, it'd be immediate. That's one I would go after immediately. Your price per square footage is 138. Your year built 2016. While you have munchkins and stuff and doing all that, it's still a fairly newer house. The other 2 houses that sold, well, 2 of them are 2016, one's a 2019. And so that's why I say you have right now, you're at the end of that big push, but there should be some changes though that come in this coming year. Like I said, I can't find anything. I've tried. I was really hoping you'd have a roof that blew off, windows that were broken, or a foundation that collapsed, because that's, we want to make sure that's correct. Or when you had your finish in your basement is always the question that we have. But it's showing that you have some stuff that's unfinished down there and you're at 1504. I don't have anything that I can.
And I agree, and like I've been doing, I try to look at Zillow and Realtor.com just to see where the market is compared to what the assessor is, and the market shows you, Zillow's got you an estimate at 564, so I can't find land, I can't find anything else, so I have to stay where we're at.
I was hoping you would have this is what we have in that. The argument with your neighbors next to you is a very valid argument, but I think all your neighbors are probably going to be in the same boat as you when you see values published. Because it looks like that all of the subdivision properties, they all adjusted. They probably had that on the assessment this time of where they went and looked specifically, is what my bet would be, because you had enough cells right around you to adjust the whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
So they should all be appraising at $521,000
Well,
as well, because we're supposed to be equalizing like properties, right?
Well, equalizing like properties by square foot.
Right.
Because one house, if you have a house that's down the street from you that's 1,000 square feet bigger, it will have a different
Understand.
value.
Yep.
But if they're all roughly in that same finish, same everything, yeah, they should be. Now, you might have one that has, I don't know if you have granite countertops. I don't know if you have all hardwood or if you have tiled floors or whatever. If you have a house that's linoleum and has Formica countertops, it's probably going to be less than
Finishes, yeah.
the granite. So your fit and finish. If all your fit and finish and your square footage is roughly the same, all of those houses should be in that same ballpark, because you have so many comparable cells that are on your street. Actually, that's the hardest part too, is you have cells that are supporting the value.
So can I get those values of the properties I listed
Yes,
in
you
my
can.
appeal
Yes,
today?
you can. If you will give the chief of staff your email, he can email that to you. If you'll just write it down,
Yeah.
and he can email it to you today.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, on parcel RPE P6001300, make a motion that we uphold the assessed value.
Mr. Chair, we have a motion on the floor. Is there any other motions for discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Ma'am, there's been a decision that has been made. If you don't agree with that decision, you wish to continue further with the district court or the State Board of Tax Appeals, you may do so. You'll receive this in 2 to 3 weeks. clerk's office behind us is where you'll find that. If you have additional sales data or additional things you can bring in at that time that they may consider, and if you can support your case to get that value changed, I highly encourage you to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a good day. The last one, sorry, sir, we've had some
WM Properties?
WM properties. You should have been AAA properties.
That's right. First name's Adam, I should have done it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Ready to go?
Yep, we're good.
Okay, so we've got 10 properties in the area, and I wanted to complain about 10 of them. But after visiting with a buddy of mine who's a property manager and a couple realtors, this is the only one that I feel like we probably need to address a little bit if we can. So the property in question I purchased in 2015, so that's 7 years ago. I paid $60,500 for it, and I've made 0 changes to it since the purchase. So the market hasn't gone up 360%. Since I bought it. It has gone up, agreed, possibly even as much as 200%, but we haven't seen a 360% jump since 2015. So the biggest issue, I think, at least part of it, the biggest piece anyway, would be the difference in land value. It's just a condo. So it's a unit that's not on the end. Some of these units in this strip have lofts or end units with extra windows. This has none of those things. It's kind of in the middle.
How wide is your piece of property? It's a middle condo, so your property is as wide as your condo, correct?
Yep, I don't know the width of the condo, but it's teeny.
Okay.
I mean, it's one room wide. It's an 1,100 square foot condo. So anyway, look at this. If you say valuations are at 140 a square foot for a condo, then we've got 154,000 plus land. But it was a contractor grade finish. It wasn't fancy when it was built. Nothing's been done to it since. It's the original kitchen, plain white walls. It's just really, really basic, and I think we're off the charts on this one.
Yep. $69,000, and I bet that's 20 feet wide.
It's probably 18, actually. It's not very wide. I'd be surprised if it was 20 feet wide. So,
All right. Assessor's table.
it's .02 is the land.
Well, they've assessed it at $69,750.
Oh, and the other point that I would make is I read the article in the Journal that was February where it says we're 22% over and 6th highest overvalued in the country. And you had an interview with the Johnson boy and said, you know, a new condo is $240,000 and most of them come with a garage. And this thing's at least 50 grand away from looking, you know, reasonably new on the inside. It needs everything: kitchen, bathroom, carpet, paint. It would need everything to begin to compete, and it's still an old condo.
You use it for a rental?
I use it for rental.
What's your rent based on it?
I pay $900. I get $9.25 a month, and that includes, I pay everything.
You pay taxes all?
I pay the taxes, I pay the HOA, so, you know, net rent's
You
around
pay utilities?
$750. He pays utilities.
Okay.
So, but my base rent's about $750 on the property, and that's what it's worth. It's, you know, $9.25. I might be under here, it might be worth $1,000 now, but it's just not pretty on the inside. I used to buy my properties at the 1% value. So if I've got a $100,000 property, which is almost what I had when I bought the thing, at 60, well, quite a bit less than that. You know, I was expecting rent would be the 1%, and now we're so far out of line, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. Assessor's table.
Now,
Questions?
you can
or
talk about
one
house all
roll?
day long, but come on.
Does he have any kind of basement? We just show crawl space?
No, it's just
No
a
basement,
slab on grade.
and there's no loft. So several of those units in there have a loft, which adds some value. It doesn't add much. I don't even think it adds to the square footage. It's
So it
just,
has no second story?
they have that. It has a second story, but some have
Oh, the
that
vault
nice
inside.
open feeling to them,
Yeah.
and this one's smaller. It doesn't have that, and it's right in there with those same properties.
All right.
So
Assessor's table?
I just want to know, on our packet, we actually put his home address on the cover sheet, which is incorrect.
yeah.
Because his property sits
you're looking at
on
Mary Lane.
the south side of
Yeah,
town.
you're looking at Mary Lane. So it's 1800 South Grant, 30B
So.
is the one, and we've got 9 others, but I wish I could complain on all of them, but I see where the market is.
Sorry. I was reading and doing some math, and
okay.
the computer finally updated and let me go into, I actually see the page now, sorry.
Okay, no, you're fine. Yeah, it sits at 1800 Grant Avenue, South, 30B. There was a couple sales out there over the last couple of years.
What are all of the land values for all of those?
69,750.
For every single one of them?
Up from 17, that's ridiculous.
You can't.
Yeah, you look at the, you times
All right,
that
hold on
times
one
how
second,
many
sir.
units there are out there.
We gotta go,
It's a
we gotta go this
billion-dollar
way.
property.
So we gotta let them do their thing, and you'll probably get to where you wanna go, but just
Okay.
let them do
All
their
right,
thing.
sorry.
Quick.
His is a 1994 build, townhouse condo, 1122 between the main and the upper levels, no basement, just crawl space.
No crawl space.
We have him at 216,717, 128 per square foot. 1800 Grant Avenue, 41E sold, same size lot, obviously. They're built in 96. They have 1255 between the main and upper. They do have a small basement underneath at 544 square feet with 300 of that finished. They're coming in at 110. Their land value is exactly the same. It sold for $229,350 in August. If you time adjust, it would bump that up to $243,684. And then 1800 South Grant Avenue, 42E sold. It's a 1994 build, 1255 on the main, 544 in the basement, full finished basement, sold in November of 2020 for $146,500. If you time adjust that to January 1, it would be $184,590 with price per square foot $62. So, I mean, there's other townhouse condos throughout Pocatello and around. Their average is around 216. Their median is around 208 for
Okay.
a sell price value average.
So I just, as I look at this, yeah, I think on improvements and structure, I actually took what you told me, and I did it with a 5.3% cap rate. I did a 95% occupancy. I didn't do any maintenance depreciation factors or anything else. And I ran it just, and you can argue a 5.3 to a 7.3 is our average cap rate in Eastern Idaho. I came in 161, 320. If you just left the land value at 20 grand, that would have given us a $176,000 thing. $69,000 for that piece of property. I don't know what's happened there, but in good conscience,
Wild.
I can't do that. And so all of those parcels,
Yeah.
what I'm actually going to ask
The
for.
one right behind it is at, again, this is last year's number, but it was a .05, so about twice the size, and it had a value of 32.4.
See, and this is the problem, is all of those in those buildings, you cannot separate out the land. As much as we talk about, and you've heard, and if you've been in any of these hearings, you'll hear me talk about scraping ground and having the cost of
Yes,
land. The problem is
totally.
you can't scrape this middle lot. It doesn't work that way with the condo. So they all have to be valued, and there's some value based on an end unit or a bigger unit or whatever. But really, all of these have probably been issued, and really what I'd probably ask for in a motion is that we hold this and have this block of condos looked at, because you can't have a $69,000 value for every single piece of ground. That, I mean, you can't do that.
Insane.
It's just insane. And so,
I appreciated your valuation, because I just took last year's lot value up to 25%, and I came up with a total value of 168,229, which was very close to your calculation
Yeah.
with your.
so I did a basic cap rate. I didn't add in some other stuff. Like I said, I just took a $20,000 rate at 176. If you just looked at the land value, take the improvements. Improvements, you have some
A question.
I mean, piece of sheathing cost $50 last year. So, I mean, I got it. But what I'm saying is that whole section, and so I would ask for unanimous consent to have this returned to the assessor's table and have the assessors go back and make an adjustment on all of these. I would look at I don't want to say it's
So
a
are you
decision.
suggesting we do something with his land, or you want to?
Well, his land, I was going to make another one too with all these, but I would set his land value at $20,000, and I would request that all of the rest of these be brought back in, and we do it on one sheet to have all of these set so it doesn't cause an irregularity to all of these units. Because I don't know any other way to do that, but $69,000 for that.
So you're really, you're making a motion.
For this
20,000?
this piece of property, for the land value to be set at $20,000.
So your total.
My total would be
on-
100.
Let's do this. On RPCYP 003001, that we do a total price, total valuation of 166,967, with the adjustment coming off of the land, which should make the land at $20,000.
Yes. There is a motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
I would then ask, because cause to be raised or cause to be lowered has been indicated on this property, which directly affects these, that the assessor's table bring all of these condos in these units back with an adjusted value of when we have all their parcel numbers at 20,000. Because otherwise you're gonna have one at 20 and the rest at 69, and it's gonna be a mess.
That would be a mess.
Okay. If, sir, you've heard our decision, you have the option to appeal to
That's right where it should be.
district court or that. If you want to do that, great. Otherwise, I will consider this hearing closed.
Thank you. See you guys.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks.
Sorry I had to sit and wait till